And good morning, everybody. Welcome. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, how are you from Oregon?
I am well, Eric, and the sun is coming up here. I understand that you guys have battled a lot of bad, inclement weather over the weekend.
Yeah, it wasn't great,
No?
needless to say. But I'll tell you what today feels like to me. And this is not a knock on the Avalanche and their playoff run and the regular season, and the Nuggets and their playoff run and the regular season. But today feels like the Wizard of Oz to me. And here's why. Do you remember the scene after the tornado and the house lands and Dorothy opens the door and it goes from black and white to color? Today marks the beginning of OTAs for the Broncos. Today marks the 100-day mark until the start of the NFL season. And even though it is gloomy in Denver, this has turned into Technicolor as we are heading full steam into the NFL season because, quite frankly, there's nothing really to talk about with the Rockies.
Well, so is Bo Nix Glenda the good witch of the West or the whatever it is then?
I haven't really decided
Yeah.
who's going to be cast as who, but I'm sure if you ask Sean Payton, all of us in the media would be the Munchkins.
Yeah. Or the Flying Monkeys, something like that, right?
No, we would be the Munchkins because we are short, not seen, and loud.
I guess I have to stand up and be recognized as such. That's okay.
Yeah. With that, if you want to buy what you want at the price you want, you need to go with Roller Auctions, the leader in Colorado auctions for over 45 years. Today, there's an auction for reconditioned power tools, office furniture, cleaning supplies, and more. The bidding has started at rollerauction.com. And don't forget to go to rollerauction.com to learn about upcoming auctions. Get what you want at the price you want today at Roller Auction. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Today, and many eyes are going to be on the rookies. I understand that, but I have a feeling a lot of eyes as well will be on the development and how much better Bo Nix is year one to year two. Do you think there is going to be a potential visible difference between watching Bo today as opposed to the end of the regular season, even though I understand there will not be any games played today?
Well, you could ask that question going one of two ways: in a marked improvement or a potential sophomore slump, which second-year quarterbacks traditionally tend to fall into. See C.J. Stroud last year in Houston. So it's an interesting question. I just think the dynamic between he and Sean Payton is so strong. They are such of like mind that it would be hard for me to see him taking a step back. You've added pieces now that should enhance what he can do in the offense. And I just see him continuing to move forward. And I don't know, Eric, maybe that's wishful thinking. I don't mean to make it sound that way, but just from what I know about the people involved, about Sean Payton, about Bo Nix, his attention, both of their attention to detail, all of those things that are working in unison. I see Bo Nix continuing to take a step into top 15, top 12 type of quarterback sort of thing. Maybe maybe that's a little bit too much to ask, but I think we're going to see continued improvement from the kid.
I think it's a neck up thing to me as much as anything else.
Yeah.
And we saw how strong he was from the neck up last year when Marvin Mims was invisible in the offense to start the season. And then when Bo Nix started to get it and started to get a grasp of the offense, Sean Payton said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to throw in a new wrinkle for you. And he's probably going to be our most explosive guy. And we're going to work him in, talking about Marvin Mims, in a bunch of different areas. Let's see how you handle this. And he handled it beautifully. To your point, he is a year older in theory. He has more weapons in theory. He has older wide receivers in theory, in terms of age and in terms of experience. He also finally has a tight end as well. What I'm about to say is not a knock on CJ Stroud. I don't know the guy. I've never covered the guy. In all fairness to him, there were some injuries last year for the skill position players for the Houston Texans. But the one thing that Bo Nix has over CJ Stroud is he has far more mobility. Mm-hmm. So when the play breaks down and he doesn't have help from his skill position players, Bo Nix can make plays with his legs. That's not something that CJ Stroud is overly strong at.
And isn't it interesting, Eric, that we enter into this season a year ago asking the right questions about Bo Nix? Like, I mean, how quickly is this young man going to evolve as a quarterback? What can he bring? Now, all of a sudden, you've got this stability that you have your franchise quarterback. And the questions now are more, well, what does the offense look like now with pieces? We both like RJ Harvey, the rookie. Now, it remains to be seen. He's a rookie, but he's a very intriguing piece as a running back. Evan Engram, obviously, is a very intriguing piece as a tight end. So you've Pat Bryant. Both of us like Pat Bryant, the third-round pick. Could he be another piece to the puzzle? So now all of a sudden, you've got some real interesting pieces that give you an awful lot of optimism for this year coming up. That offense, really, the last 3 quarters of the season was pretty darn good last year. But isn't it realistic or logical to assume that when you stop to consider the pieces they've added, you hope that you get good health, and that's always a big question. It would seem to me that this is an offense that's ready to take another step forward. And if this offense takes another step forward, you're talking about one of the, dare I say, top scoring potential offenses in the NFL. Now, maybe not 30 points a game, but if you can get yourself into the 27, 28 points a game, you're going to win a lot of football games, especially with the defense they've got.
Are you surprised, and maybe I missed it, did Bo Nix have a quarterback camp with all of the wide receivers like most quarterbacks usually do?
Pat Bryant at the rookie symposium that they do out in LA, where they do all the panini cards and this, that, and the other thing, did kind of let it slip that Bo was organizing this. I think it's going to be for the time between, if it's going to happen. My understanding is that it would be after this series of OTAs and mini camp and the beginning of training camp in July. So, yeah, it looks like it's going to happen.
When you look at this quarterback class, you have Drake May, Daniels, obviously, Bo Nix. I don't need to go through the entire list.
Yeah.
Which of those quarterbacks takes the biggest step forward this upcoming season, and who potentially regresses?
I think Caleb Williams takes the biggest step forward because he's got the furthest step to go, right? And I think we all agree that he's a pretty talented guy. He showed signs of that later in the season, but to me, he has the biggest jump to make. I think that Bo Nix will be the most steady improver, though, in terms of taking another step here, another step there. Look at the difference. Eric, here's another thing, too. When we're listening to the intel on these free agents that came, 3 of them talked about Bo Nix being one of the reasons that they were interested in coming to the Denver Broncos. You get the quarterback in place, and if you've got that piece of the puzzle in good shape, I'm not saying it's the Peyton Manning effect, and you've talked about that a ton. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that all of a sudden you've got an answer in a place where players have got to have answers. They got to know that they've got a quarterback that can win. And I think that this will continue to be an asset for the Broncos and for Bo Nix as he moves forward. But I think it will. I think for Bo Nix, I don't know if it's going to be a quantum leap, but I think there will be steady improvement. And considering from where they left off last year, that's good news.
Everybody throws together, when I say everybody, whether it's ESPN or CBS Sports, Pro Football Focus, they throw together their, rankings of all the starting quarterbacks in the league. For the most part, Bo Nix has been near the bottom third of all of the projected starters, despite how he finished the second half of last season, is arguably one of the better quarterbacks. So with Pro Football Focus, Nix is ranked at 19. That's tier 4. That's the category he's in, which is young players with a wide range of potential outcomes. For Pro Football Focus, the step above was solid starters. Not that it really matters, not that Sean Payton cares, not that Bo Nix really cares where he is ranked in the offseason. Should he have been put in the solid starters category instead of wide range of potential outcomes, because it makes it seem like this guy is still a major roll of the dice.
I agree with what you just said. I think that when you're around him and you're seeing what's happened and you're 10-7 and you're getting to the playoffs, and all of a sudden with not minimal offensive weapons, because that's doing a disservice to the guys that are there. I don't mean that, but if you can tweak and improve the range of weapons that you have offensively, which I think we agree they needed to do, particularly at running back and tight end. And they've done that.
They make a major step. On a scale of 1 to 10, how big is this step? Because I think all of us were hoping, maybe Omari Hampton, he'll be the guy. Or maybe they'll draft, they'll trade up and get Colston Loveland, which clearly they did not have that opportunity to do. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much better are those skill position players as a group? As far as wide receiver goes, we'll see what happens, with this kid out of Illinois.
Yep.
Evan Ingram coming off an injury. RJ Harvey, he wasn't a first-round pick.
Maybe a 6, maybe. Right? Yep. Maybe a 6. And that's looking at the pieces they brought in, hoping that they're going to be healthy and then getting the most out of them. And that doesn't always happen. I mean, Evan Ingram is a little older now, and he's a good football player, a really good football player. He's a guy that you like in the middle of the field. He has proven in his history that he can gain yards after the catch. So those are good things. RJ Harvey, you said it yourself. He's a second-round draft pick. By the way, he's a second-round draft pick that they moved essentially down for. It's not like they were moving up the scale in the second round to get RJ Harvey. They may have found something in him. It remains to be seen. We'll learn a lot now in the next 3 weeks, I think, about RJ Harvey. So you're hoping for some things to come together. I think that on the surface, they are a better offense, but from a standpoint of an 8 or a 9, that it's going to be different, and that they're going to be really, really good. I don't think you can say that yet. You're going to have to wait and see. So I'm hoping to start at a 6, and maybe by the time the season rolls through, we're looking at an 8 in that regard. That's, I think, probably what the hope is. Just steady improvement from a place where they finished well a year ago.
I am wondering, when you talk about the defense, which I think will be improved, staying healthy with the 2 new guys that they brought in, is going to play a major role in that. Right. Let's see how, Barrow turns out to be as a player, right?
Yeah, Barron is an interesting guy. Yeah, no, he's an interesting guy because he can do a little bit of everything. Inside, outside, slot, hybrid. They can use him as an extra linebacker. He's a very sure tackler. He was one of those guys during rookie minicamp. Now, of course, you're looking for him because he's the top ranked, because he's the top draft pick. But he's one of those guys at minicamp, rookie minicamp, that you couldn't basically take your eyes off of. He was so fast, so fluid.
Let me get to the point of my question.
Sure.
So the defense we believe is going to be better. Do you think the defense is not directly going to affect the improvement of Bo Nix? It's not going to directly affect it. However, with the way the defense does affect Bo Nix, will it affect him and the offense scoring more points, or will it affect the offense helping get more wins?
That's interesting. Well,
I just made it up. So
you hope
I'm pretty good about myself.
You're pretty good about that. The hope is you're winning the battle of field position. You're getting turnovers. You're not spending a lot of time waiting to get back on the field. You got to score points to win games. To score points, you got to be on the field. You want to be your offense on the field as much as possible. So when you define what you're hoping for out of this defense, can you provide those things? And if the answer is yes, then you're going to be very effective. I do think, and you bring up a good point, and it really needs to be reiterated. The health of the two inside linebackers in particular, when you're talking about Greenlaw and Singleton, those guys have got to be ready to hit the ground running at training camp. And it sounds like that will be the case. But to your point, they're both coming off of injuries that cost them virtually all of their seasons. Really good football players. We, of course, know what we have in Alex Singleton. But anytime that you're coming off of an injury like that, there's a certain degree of, you got to prove it to me again before I can go all in. So very intrigued, but there are questions that survive. Yes, no question.
Coming up after the break, NFL.com's Mark Ross wrote an article titled 10 Rookies in the Best Situations to Succeed in Year One and Beyond. Is there anybody on that list from the Broncos? And if there is, who is it? We call that a tease in the business, and that's next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. And don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Bronco Raptor or nearly $30,000 in cash the weekend of May 23rd. Get finalist entries from 10 a.m. until midnight during their daily cash drawings every 45 minutes or by redeeming player points. And all daily cash drawings that don't get picked are eligible for a second chance drawing on Wednesdays, and that can turn into extra cash. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. And don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver. And welcome back. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. On Friday, Mia finished up school. She got a really good GPA. She has been bugging me to go to a Nola Jane down in Denver as a treat, so that's what we did. And I will tell you that it might be one of the best restaurants I've ever been to. And I've traveled all over. I'm including worldwide. And that's not a joke when I say that. I know that you are a vegetarian. The blackened catfish over dirty rice is incredible. Now, you can do an add-on if you want to, the crawfish etouffee, which I did. And I was about to pour it on, but I'm like, I'm just going to take a bite of the blackened catfish first. It was so good, I'm like, I don't want to spoil it by adding another layer to it. So I took a bite of the blackened catfish, had a spoon with the crawfish etouffee.
Nice.
After my bite, that's how good it was. And I've had it there before, but I forgot just how good the barbecue mac and cheese with shrimp is. And we got that as an appetizer. And it's like the perfect spice as well. Mia got the shrimp and grits. The cornbread, it's like an extra special layer where there's like honey on it. So it's like crisp on top. And then to top it off, their desserts are homemade. I'm not a big key lime pie fan, but Mia wanted it. And she's like, oh, can we order it during lunch? I'm like, of course. I'm not a big key lime pie fan. It was freaking amazing. The food there is just so good. You can find them off of Market Street. This is what I would refer to as a destination restaurant. I don't care where you live in Colorado. This is a place you want to drive to in order to have dinner or have lunch. And of course, they have a rooftop patio. Go have a hurricane during the summer. Nola Jane is freaking amazing. Go check them out right around the corner from Ball Arena in Lodo. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Nola Jane in the heart of Lodo. No one does Cajun cuisine better than Nola Jane. Go see why their award-winning menu is the best in town.
NFL.com's Mark Ross wrote an article titled 10 Rookies in the Best Situation to Succeed Year 1 and Beyond. Abdul Carter from the Giants, number 1. Omarion Hampton was on the list as well. He was number 2. Broncos had a crack at him. Checking in at number 3, Jahdae Barron. This is what was written about the Broncos rookie. The Broncos reinforced a strength in the draft, selecting Barron to pair with Pat Surtain in the secondary. The rookie will be able to play multiple positions in Vance Joseph's scheme, having lined up outside, in the slot, in the box, and as a dime linebacker at Texas. His skill set will be maximized in a division that has to face Mahomes and Herbert twice a year. Surtain is Surtain. Riley Moss has a trajectory, I think, that is going up. And now with Barron, when do you believe this could become the best secondary in football? And dare I say, do they have a chance to challenge, at least in terms of corners, the no-fly zone with Talib, Chris Harris, and, I just had his name in my head, Bradley Roby.
Bradley Roby, yeah.
I'm not talking about the safeties. I'm only talking about the
corners, right. Yeah, let's be careful before we start comping those guys. I mean, they were special. They were championship special, but yeah, I mean,
let me
go
say
ahead.
this. Pat Surtain is the best of all of them.
Yes.
Okay. So he's on top of the list. Do I think Riley Moss will be as good as Talib or Chris? Probably not. Jahdae Barron, let's see what this kid can do.
But you continue to add pieces, and I agree. I agree with the assessment. You can do it. You're putting so much skill on the field, and that's good tackling skill too. That's the thing about Barron that you keep hearing about, is he's such a sure tackler, and he played the star position at Texas, which is basically fill in the blank. Put him on a place on the field where he can help you. And I'm not so sure that they won't use him in very much the same way here. I think that, yes, I think that the secondary, in the 10 years that I've been here now, this will be the best secondary. I was there at the very back end of the no-fly zone.
Yep.
They'd come off their championship. They were still together for a year or two after it, and then pieces started to leave. But no, I think that this secondary now is certainly as good as that one was then. I'm talking about the couple of years after the Super Bowl. And I think it probably has a legitimate chance to be talked about in fair comparison to that group. And I think Chris Harris is excited about that. Chris Harris was over the moon about the pick of Barron. He was like, this is good stuff. And it shows, Eric, that you can look, we can sit and argue or debate, should that pick have been Omarion Hampton, or should it have been a move up for Austin Genty, or whatever, or could they have gotten the kid out of Ohio State? You could have done Trey Hendrickson. You could have done a lot of different things there. But man, when you think that you are in a position to go get a best available player that you know is going to be a difference maker for you, I think it speaks organizationally about where the Broncos think that they are right now. And that's a good thing.
This draft of Barron reminds me of the Pat Surtain draft. Should have taken Justin Fields. They should have taken Mac Jones. Why are you taking a cornerback? There's no real reason to. And how has Pat Surtain panned out?
Yeah.
Pat Surtain has played 4 years in this league. Okay. He's already a defensive player of the year. He's already a first team All-Pro twice. If he has 2 more years like this, just 2, that's all he needs. I'm not talking about defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He has 2 more years like this. Let's say he's a first or second team All-Pro again. He could have a career-ending injury and he will go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think you're right. I that's certainly that's his arc at this particular point. And
I mean, with all due respect to Aqib Talib, who is a Hall of Fame talent, we know what he does when he got an interception. He usually returns it to the house. Yeah. Aqib Talib is not a slam dunk for the Hall of Fame. He is not.
No.
As far as Chris Harris goes, he's an all-decade team guy. Yet he might be one of the first all-decade team guys to never go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
For Pat Surtain, just give me 2 more years, and he will be the defensive equivalent of Terrell Davis.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I'm pretty excited. And you've added some other interesting pieces in that defense as well. I think they're better with Savion Jones up front. I think he's a piece that he's a late 3rd round draft pick out of LSU, but he was one of those guys at rookie. And look, it's rookie mini camp, so don't get me wrong, and they're in sweats. And Sean Payton would be the first one to say, let's wait and make any assessments until they get in pads, and I get it. But you can just see his fluidity. You can see his length. You can see his strength, his ability to push at the line of scrimmage and push guys back off of the line of scrimmage. So they've got some really interesting pieces now. And Jahdae Barron is one of them that make them potentially better. I mean, I don't know where where I feel like they are, but I mean, they're a playoff team. Now, can this team defend, or can this team contend in a division? I'm not quite ready to go there yet, but I do think that they can be better than they were a year ago when they were a playoff team. So to what degree, it remains to be seen.
This defense is supposed to be a top 5 defense. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, how many turnovers will they force? I have absolutely no clue.
Yeah.
But I do know this. When you have a really, really, really good defense, sometimes you should dial back your plays that are risky to protect that defense, because the defense, or at least believe that defense, is going to get the other offense off the field pretty quickly. Because the defense has the potential to be that good, how much do you think that should affect the way Sean Payton calls games?
I think it'll have a direct effect on that. Number of possessions, where they're getting the ball on the field. I think it, and now he's got some pieces. How is he going to use the tight end? Remember, we haven't had a tight end with over 210 receiving yards since basically Noah Fant. And that's been a minute now, since he was a Denver Bronco. So I think it affects everything in Sean's play calling, and I think it probably should. How willing is he to take early shots after quick turnovers? What kind of confidence does he have going downfield? Does he feel that Troy Franklin, for instance, can take a step and add a little bit more sure hands to that great speed that he has? I don't think that we started to see very much. We saw just a little scratch of Troy Franklin late in the season on some of those bubble screens that he ended up taking to the house, this, that, and the other thing. There's some intrigue there, but of course your defense is going to dictate play calling. And I don't think Sean Payton needs a whole hell of a lot more of a push to be emboldened, Eric. I mean, I think that he's willing, if he believes he's got the guys and if he's got the pieces, he'll take chances. I have every confidence in that. Okay.
Is it too early? Okay. And I'm guessing most people would say it is. The Broncos defense, should we even start bringing that stuff up? Is it way too premature to say, hey, can this Broncos defense be as good as the one in 2015? Is it way too early for that?
I think I would hesitate to do that. First off, it does a little bit of a disservice, I think, to that group in 2015, especially as the season wore on, were beyond special. They were that was everything on that football team. They dictate. That's that's who they were, and that's how they won games. I'm not quite ready to say that with this group. Having said that, we saw enough last year in fits and starts. I mean, it's not like they had. I mean, Baltimore happened. They had places where they just weren't very good. There needs to be more consistency. Is their depth better? I would think that it probably is. You've got two big questions at inside linebacker. Those are legitimate questions. Yep. I mean, they've got a new safety that you got to have healthy as well in Hufanga, but you've got better pieces to be a better defense with. They showed signs of being a pretty consistent top 10 defense a year ago. Can they take the next step and be a top 7 or a top 5 defense? If this is a top 5 defense, Eric, and I'm talking about you can set your watch to them every single week, the Broncos are a totally different kind of expectation coming up for this season.
I'll give you an area where the last year's Broncos were certainly better than the 2015 team.
Okay.
I was getting to the quarterback. And quite frankly, it wasn't even close. Von Miller was
Right.
the only double-digit sack guy. He had 11. DeMarcus Ware had 7.5. And then you had Wolf and Barrett tying at 5.5 sacks each. This past season, Benito, 13.5. Cooper, 10.5. Zach Allen, 8.5. John Franklin Myers had 7. 63 sacks compared to 52 sacks. And now you have just improved your secondary big time.
Yeah. And sacks obviously puts offenses behind the sticks and creates huge advantages in where you are on the field, in field position. So yeah, it's pretty encouraging. And there's a lot of reasons, I think, to be very bullish on what the Broncos can provide. They're in a very difficult position. Chargers are going to be good. The Chiefs are the Chiefs until further notice. They still got Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Brett Veach running that program. It's not going to be easy. But the funny thing is, the West has finally gotten to the type of division that we thought it would be 3 or 4 years ago, when all those quarterbacks were coming into the division. Remember, and the thought was, oh my God, the AFC West. Well, now the quarterbacks are actually better in the AFC West. The defenses are better in the AFC West. The coaching is better in the AFC West. And now you can see where this division is going to be an absolute beast. 6 games a year that you absolutely have got to play at a very high level for to win football games.
And you can make the case that if I'm really echoing what you just said, when you look at 2015, and listen, I covered that team. They were a great defense, specifically in the playoffs, and they were great against the run, obviously great against the pass. They didn't have to face Patrick Mahomes.
No.
They faced Alex Smith. They faced a 4-12 Chargers team. They faced a Raiders team that was under 500. Yes, they had to get by Brady. Yes, they had to get by Ben Roethlisberger.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with the talented quarterbacks in not only this division, but in the AFC, it's far more of a challenge, I believe, for the Broncos this year than it was for the Broncos back in 2015. Not taking anything away from that 2015 team. But that 2015 team did not have to face the gauntlet of quarterbacks, because back then in 2015, which is 10, 11 years ago, maybe, it was still Brady, Manning, and Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Now it is take your pick.
Yeah. The depth in the AFC right now, quality depth in the AFC, not just at quarterback, but just the football teams in the AFC. I mean, the balance of power in terms of depth is in the AFC right now. There's very good, obviously, the Super Bowl champions and NFC team, and we get that. But the depth and the really good football teams, and more of them, are in the AFC, I think, at this point. But I think that's a challenge that they're able to take on this year. Last year, up in Buffalo, they started great, obviously, and got the early touchdown, but they just weren't ready for a moment like that. How much will that help them as they get ready to go this year? Just an understanding of what it takes and all of those things. I'm not trying to be silly about it, but I do think that there's a learning curve. I think there is a curve for a young football team, and this team is still generally a young football team to learn about itself when it comes to winning football games in the postseason.
Again, not trying to take anything away from the 2015 team, but just for fun, I looked it up. Pick a stat that to you is the best metric for a quarterback. Would it be QBR rating? Pick a category.
Yeah. I would go. Yeah, I would. QBR is about as good as we've got right now. It's fine.
These are your top AFC quarterbacks in 2015 with QBR. Ben Roethlisberger. This is back in 2015. whose QBR was 73, had 21 touchdowns and 16 interceptions.
Wow.
He was the best. He was the best. Okay. Although he did average 328 yards a game. Number 2 on that list, Andy Dalton. AFC, by the way, only. Number 3 on that list, Russell Wilson. Then Tom Brady. Then Tyrod Taylor. Then Ryan Fitzpatrick. Then Alex Smith. Smell what I'm stepping in here?
Yep. I hear you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Those were the top guys.
Yeah. You're dealing with
by the way, just for fun, next on the list was Phillip Rivers at 57. You know who was right behind him? Brock Osweiler.
That is interesting. Very interesting. Yeah.
That's not Burrow, Mahomes, Herbert, and whoever else.
Well, you might want to throw Bo Nix into that group now, right? Maybe. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff.
That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.